What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from the Westbrook Brewing Company, and they're out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and this is their Grandma's Apple Pie Gose. So they're calling this one a Gose style ale brewed with apples, cinnamon, vanilla, and milk sugar, aka lactose. It comes in at 4% alcohol by volume, 5 IBUs, and at the time of review, this can is just over 3 months old. So Westbrook. It's been over 2 years since I've reviewed something from them on the channel, which is pretty disappointing. I should definitely review more beers from them. And when it comes to the Gose style, here in the US, they are widely regarded as one of the best when it comes to brewing the Gose style. Their base Gose, people used to go nuts about that back in the mid-2010s. I have not reviewed the base Gose, so we'll try to get to that this year. Now, they do a bunch of different variants of their base Gose. My favorite is the key lime pie Gose. I reviewed that one in the early days of my channel. Absolutely love it. Still love it to this stage. It's fantastic. It does a beautiful job of capturing what a key lime pie is, but still letting the base shine. Now, the last beer I reviewed from them was their strawberry rhubarb pie Gose, and I think it was back in December of 2021. Pretty good. So when I saw this one, I was like, you know what, we're going to give it a go. Now, I am going to pour it into the hashtag proper glassware, and we're going to get into it. So the Gose style, even though they don't list it on the label, typically it goes, I'm pretty sure, is a kettle sour, where the grain bill has to be at least 50% wheat. And then they also typically throw in sea salt and coriander, which this beer does have. And the apple in this one is apple puree. So just thought I would mention that, and nice pour like that. So yeah, I was just kind of in the mood for something from Westbrook, and I saw this. It was actually the last can on the shelf, so I was just like, you know what, we're gonna grab it. So yeah, that has, now my camera sucks, but in person it has this bright, vibrant orange. It's probably gonna be way more dull and probably darker on camera, but nice, vibrant orange. Hold it up to the light. Yeah, it's kind of almost like a sunshine at sunset, just, you know, deeper, darker kind of like orange color. Had a finger that is now just under a finger of a really creamy looking head that is like an off-white, eggshell white head. And again, in the hashtag proper glassware, I think it looks beautiful. It really does. I think it's kind of appropriate for what a Gose should look like to some extent. You know, there's some murkiness here and the clarity's not through the roof, and that's typically what you expect. Anyway, get a nose. So what I like about their base Gose and then variants like this is that the base Gose does shine through. And what I'm getting right off the rip is a nice salinity, that sea salt, a little bit of coriander. And then you can tell this is a sour of some sort, right? It has a little bit of funkiness to it. But then underneath that, there is a sweeter kind of, you know, like red delicious apple. It has, and I used to, prior to drinking and reviewing beers back like in the 2000s, so before like 2009, I used to be into the ciders. I used to really like drinking different ciders. So this has a nice like alcoholic apple cider kind of nose to it. Nice cinnamon. The vanilla, I'm not really getting. It's more of like just an apple cinnamon aroma. It doesn't smell exactly like an apple pie. I'm not getting any like of the crust. And again, they're kind of probably trying to incorporate the entire pie into the Gose. So you know, the vanilla is kind of trying to mimic like a whipped cream. But this just smells more of like a base, a really well done base Gose with like hints of apple, hints of cinnamon. It's, again, why I think this, I don't want to say a series, but their base Gose along with whatever variants they do, I think why these shine for me personally is, again, it's not too heavy-handed with the dessert flavors. And in this case, aroma. Touch of like a weedy kind of base too. Yeah, it just smells really good. It doesn't smell like it's mind-blowing or over the top, but it just smells really well brewed. So let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Okay. So first things first. This is really tasty. The taste is a little bit more sweet than I anticipated based off the aroma. Again, I was getting more of like that funkiness, the sourness, the salinity, the coriander, with hints of like apple cinnamon. In the taste is a little bit more apple cinnamon forward and a little bit desserty apple pie kind of forward. I will say, when it comes to the Goses I've had from them, this is a little bit heavier on the body. So this is more like, I'd say, higher side of medium body. It's not like a heavily fruited sour, like a fruit smoothie sour or something like that, but it has a little bit more oomph to it than typical, especially since it's 4%. So that's impressive from that aspect. Again, they're using apple puree, but it doesn't have like all the pectin and everything on the side of the glass. So they're fermenting it instead of, and using it in post and blending it. Yeah, so body's higher side of medium body. The mouthfeel, it's very crisp and effervescent. This has like a moderate carbonation, super refreshing on the palate from a mouthfeel standpoint. The taste, first thing that hits me up front is apple cinnamon. And it does have like a pie kind of vibe to it. It's apple, cinnamon. It's a little bit of like a bready, kind of sweeter, doughy kind of sensation. But right after that hits the initial shock of that apple cinnamon kind of, or apple pie kind of note. And then I get the base Gose. Again, it has a slight weedy malt. Yeah, I'd say a slight weedy malt kind of sensation. There's a little bit of that coriander about halfway through the palate. There's an underlying salinity from the sea salt. It's definitely noticeable. And you can kind of tell it's a Gose. If I was doing it blind, would I be able to say specifically Gose? I think I might guess it because it does have enough salinity to let you know. On the finish, that's where I get a nice, soft, smooth vanilla kind of riding out on the finish. This has a semi-dry finish, no bitter to speak of, semi-dry. It does lean a little bit sweeter than from the nose. So this is like, I was hoping for like a 50-50 kind of balance. This is like 60-40 sweetness to dryness. I think it's stopping this beer for me, specifically and personally, from going nuts over it. I think I want a little bit more balance because it does lean a little bit more desserty. However, keep in mind what it says on the label. It says Grandma's Apple Pie Gose. So if you pick something up that says that, you probably think it's going to be a little bit sweeter, and it is. It's not cloying. It's not like some of those heavily fruited sours where they're just like, 4 sips and you're like, I'm done. This definitely has a richness to it and a depth of flavors that leans towards the dessert side of things, but it doesn't overstep its boundaries. You still get the base beer, and I think I appreciate that from, again, the Goses that Westbrook produces. 4%, you can't taste it. Just a really well done Gose with apple pie flavors. And again, it's not too desserty. I think if you're somebody who is very sensitive to sweetness in beers, and specifically any kind of sours, you might think this is a little bit too sweet for you. If you're somebody who likes sweeter beers, but maybe you don't like super sweet beers, this will be right in your wheelhouse. For me, I think from a flavor standpoint, it's really well done. I think the base Gose is always delicious. And I think, again, somebody out there can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the base that they use for a lot of these variants is their base Gose. So it's just a quality Gose. It's again, from American Brewery, it's definitely world-class in the upper echelon. So I think it plays well with a lot of these sweeter flavors. I would say that what I would do, and I think what's helping the body is obviously the lactose. Maybe dumb down the lactose a little bit, aka the milk sugar they list on the ingredients, and I think it would dumb down that sweetness a little bit as well, make it a little bit more balanced. So I think a little bit less lactose in this one for me personally would make this basically a home run. As is, it's still really damn good, and I'd highly recommend anyone grabbing this one. If you like sweeter Goses or you just like Westbrook's Goses in general, it's worth trying. If you like apple pie and you like sour beers, I don't think you would dislike this one, but who knows. Anyway, Grandma's Apple Pie Gose from Westbrook. I have absolutely no issues whatsoever giving this beer a low 4.25 and go 4.2. I think that's where this one lands. This would be easily in the 4.5 range if it was just less sweet. A little bit more balance goes a long way. I'd probably give this like a 4.4 at that point. So I got to knock it down a little bit. Simplistic label here. Usually how Westbrook rolls with these Goses. But yeah, I'd recommend trying it. Like I said, if you like apple pie, you like Goses, I don't see how you go wrong with this one. So, there was something on the label here that I saw earlier that I really enjoyed, but I'm not seeing it now. It just has like apple pies and apples on it, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're going to throw this over here. Anyway, price point availability. I'd like to see this one a little cheaper. This was $4.99 a can. I'd like to see it more in like the $3.99 realm. I can't remember what I used to pay for their key lime pie Gose or their base Gose, but those were in 6 packs of 12 fluid ounce cans and 16 fluid ounce can 4 packs. But it definitely wasn't in the $20 realm before if you converted that 12 pack or that 6 pack to a 4 pack of 16 fluid ounce cans. Like the key lime pie Gose, I want to say a can of that was like $3. So I'd like to see this one more $3.99 or less. So, and your mileage may vary. If you're down closer to South Carolina or the Carolinas in general, you probably pay a lot less for this. For me, it was $4.99. It's a bit pricey, but It's a 4.2 out of 5, so I'm not really, too upset about it. And availability is Westbrook. I have no idea. I do know that for a while we used to see everything from Westbrook. I'm going back like 10 years ago. We used to see again their Gose, Mexican cake, everything. Now Mexican cake does show up. Some of these variants of the Goses. An IPA here and there, a couple other beers, but we don't get everything from them like we used to. We used to get their like full distro and like their year-round and like rotating offerings. We don't see that much anymore. So I don't know. I'd say go to their website, see if they have a beer finder. If they do, you can find out if you get them in your area. I just know we've gotten them here in the New York area, Western New York area, Buffalo, New York area for about 10 years. So that's all I can go off of. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this one. What's your favorite Gose variant from Westbrook? What's your favorite Gose in general? Do you have one? Again, as far as like just a plain Jane Gose Westbrook's top of the food chain for me from American Brewed Brewery. And then again, their key lime pie Goses up there as one of my favorite Goses, period. So yeah, anyway, we're going to shut this one down. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers. Not cheers. What did I even say about this one? You know what? It's going to be funny because a lot of people are going to, go through this one. The sourness, the tartness, I really didn't talk about it too much. There is a nice like tart kind of, a little bit like a green apple tartness, a little bit of a kettle tartness. This one though has a mild, I'd say a mild tartness into a firm tartness. It's not sour, it's more tart than anything. There's no real acidity here, which I appreciate it. But I've always noticed that Goses for me usually aren't mouth puckering. This one's maybe a little less tart/sour than the base one and some of the other ones I've had from them. So if you're picking this up as far as a Gose is concerned, you might be slightly disappointed with that tartness not being a little bit more in your face. For me, I think it works well with what they're going for, which is an apple pie Gose. So I knew I was going to forget something. So if you watch the end, post in the comment section, Joe, do better next time. And I'll forget, and then I'll see somebody post that comment and be like, well, why did they hate the review? Because you said it at the end, you fucking idiot. Shutting it down. Anyway, to the next one. Cheers.